Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the December 15th Parking Authority regular meeting. There's an item that inadvertently is not on the agenda, so that involves the chairmanship. Mike Hardin has resigned, and we certainly want to thank him for all of his many years of service and all of his tremendous and dedicated efforts during that time. It's left us with something we need to act on, which is the appointment of the chairman. And I'm the vice chairman, so if everybody's comfortable with it, I'm happy to take that role.
Eric, I'm sorry, Eric, can we just make a motion to suspend the rules to add that?
Oh, sorry,
we haven't gotten that yet. I think he's just but we can suspend the rules now to engage it. Yes, so that's fine.
Perfect.
Okay, so before we discuss all of it, let's take a motion to suspend the rules so we can take up something that's not reflected on the agenda.
Someone will need to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
3.
Aye.
Okay, so what we needed to suspend the rules about is the appointment of the new chairman. And I was just offering or suggesting that, given the current vice chair role that I have, if you guys feel that it's something you would want, I'm happy to take that position.
So I think you would need to look for a motion to vote for you as chairman.
I make a motion to vote for Eric Rains to become the new chairman of the Parking Authority.
I will second that moment in a heartbeat.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. I appreciate your faith and trust. So that leaves the vice chairman position empty. And what I would suggest is that, as we also have board position or commission positions that are empty, what I would suggest is that we leave it empty, and then let's focus on getting those positions filled, and then we all can talk about the rest of the structure once we have the positions filled. And if you all agree with that, then we could rejoin the printed agenda and carry on.
That's fine by me. I hope that we're all beating the bushes to find a couple more members, because it's awful difficult with just 3 people on this board.
So Tom, I have had a conversation with the administration about that and asked that it be a priority of the administration to look to appoint the 2 open positions, and they have assured me that it is so. So hopefully we'd have something relatively soon.
That would be good.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, so then, all right, so given the judge, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, all right, so then we go back to our regular agenda, which will start off with public comment.
I think, do we need to, Delene, do we need to make a motion to reinstate the rules?
No, I think we're good, and we don't have anybody from the public either, so no, I think we're fine.
Okay.
Okay. So regarding the previous, the November 17th meeting minutes, are there any discussion or changes to those records?
Not for me.
None for me either.
So then I would have a motion to adopt the meeting minutes from the November 17th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So motion carries. Chairman's report is something James, I emailed, something that I don't see staying on the agenda long-term. But we'll talk about that later. So we can move on to number 4 later, meaning another time.
Sure, no problem.
Number 4 is the financial and operating report. Because I saw Rocky, I didn't.
Yep. Thanks, Eric.
So, yeah, I think we didn't get a chance to talk before the call. But I think as you normally go through, you sort of combine financial and operating into one effort, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you want us to do that differently, you know, I mean, a lot of times it ended up being that way over time, just in the interest of time, because sometimes you had a lot on the agenda, and they do kind of overlap somewhat. So if you have a different way you want us to present it, we could do that and go, you know, put up the financial reports themselves, the P&Ls, and talk through that, which would basically reflect some of the very first page, the executive summary, or page 2 of the report. That is basically taken from the financial report. So the comparisons to budget, actual to budget, comparison to last year, year to date. So yeah, you tell us how you'd like to see that, and we can adapt to that.
Okay, I think we'll probably all need to sort of think about that and talk about it. But you know, certainly, you know, without having had those discussions, certainly whatever would be the you know, the quickest way to get to the important data is really what matters to me.
Right. Yeah. I guess it's a matter of how long or short you want Rocky and I to talk.
Well, I don't know if we want to talk about it now. My recommendation would be that we stay as high level as possible compared to budget, and then if it sparks something, you know, in my opinion, if we're gonna compare where we are to budget, then that's an indicator of whether things are going in the direction they should go, rather than dive into the details of each asset and you know, and get into maybe some discussion that's not quite as necessary. But,
that sounds great. Then I'll, if you want me to do that, we'll do that starting now. And as I get through a different part, I kind of have it set up the way we've been doing it in the past, unless you had questions on a particular location. So we just won't go through each location. And if there's some questions you need us to drill down into, we can either try to answer them now or come back.
I think each location, actual compared to budget I think we cover that, but we don't go deeper unless somebody has questions.
Right. Okay.
Tom, Judd, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
No complaints from Tom, right? Okay, so Rocky can pull up the ops report, and on the second page, that's really the connection to the P&L. So at a high level, you know, the comparisons to budget in last year are favorable, which we would all expect, you know, because last year was the COVID year, so everything compared to there is up. So that's favorable. Where we kind of went a little off our usual track just because of the times was that we made some comparisons to pre-COVID, so you could see, you know, where we really were compared to a normal operation, you know, over a year and a half ago. So I can do that quickly. And if you don't want to hear that, eventually that's going to run out anyways, because once we get back to normal and the previous year is, you know, post-COVID, we won't need to do that. But so the system revenue year to date through November compared to 2019. So, you know, if we went June or July through November of 21, and compare that through 2019. The revenue on the revenue side, we're down a little over 12%. The expense side is down over 7%, so that's favorable. And the net operating income, or the fund balance, as we listed on the financial report, is off about 34%. That's pretty significant. And that is mainly coming from the Maritime Garage, Webster, and the rail stations on the revenue side. That's really where the impacts are. The permit side, while it's still, off in terms of number of permits sold and the revenue, it's been the one, I guess, relatively stable source of revenue over during COVID. And again, coming from Maritime Garage, Webster, the rail stations, South Norwalk, East Norwalk. The one thing we did work on from last month that I'm going to let Rocky update you on is that email marketing campaign that we talked about, and advertising that monthly parking is available with signage, and but more specifically with the email marketing that we sent out. So Rocky, do you want to just give us an update on that, and how many people we've attracted from that? Rocky.
Yep, I just unmuted myself. Yes, I have the update for those. Let me go through I got a lot of files open at the bottom because share the files. We have a total of between from the time that we sent out the email to our mobile parkers to December, we have a total of 56 parkers that signed up for monthly parker. That's an addition. That's 18 parkers at East Norwalk and 38 at South Norwalk train station garage. And of those emails that we sent out, the rest of them have said, they're going to sign up for January. So we'll keep track of those people that got the email and sign up for permit, and we'll update on the month of for the month of January. And I know it's in the agenda item that James is going to update on the marketing piece of it, what has been done. On our side, it was the repeat Park Mobile users that we extracted from our data and sent out a mass email middle of last month. And the update is we got a total of 56 of them that signed up for monthly parking.
So, Rocky, what does that do to this list that we have, but it's really not a waiting list?
From the waiting list, we haven't gotten any response, and the idea is, as more people sign up for the permit, and we were reaching out at the same time for waiting list people, and them signing up instead of just sitting on a waiting list, waiting until they're being called for work from New York or wherever they're working. But so far, that hasn't moved the waiting list for them to sign up, or just still remaining on the waiting list. So they're still on waiting lists. They know that it is. They will also inform them that it does not guarantee a space just because you are on the waiting list. If people are signing up, new people are signing up to get the permit, and once we reach the 750 permits, we will definitely have a true waiting list, and we've informed all those people.
So Eric, to answer another part of your question was that the impact on the list, it didn't do anything only if they were on the list and they decided to opt in for paying for monthly parking again. But most all of these people, and Rocky, you can correct me if I'm wrong, were transient parkers that weren't parking very often or a few times a month or a week, and that's who was targeted. So they kind of converted from parking a few times, paying a few days a month, to a full monthly permit. Right, Rock?
Correct. That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
So does that answer your question, Eric?
It does. I just still think at some point that this list is going to become confusing for the public. But we could talk about it another time.
Okay.
Hey, Staffy, can I ask you a question?
Yes,
Do you
sir.
manage any other parking on the Metro North line?
Yes, the MTA going into the city. I mean, that's the big one.
Are you seeing this similar thing with them, like a wait list and the people not wanting to people just on hold for you to securing their permit?
You know, I'm not quite sure, but I will ask our counterparts in our New York office and find out.
Okay.
The Stamford Garage, Jim, the Stamford Garage, they still have the waiting list, and they're not in the same situation as we are, where they don't want to sign up for permit, but they still want to be on the waiting list. So Stamford has the same situation.
Oh, yeah, yeah. If you were, yeah, I didn't realize you were referring to Stanford. I was thinking New York, but so does that answer your question, Jim?
Staff,
Yeah,
when-
I just wanted to see kind of where we are, because I know that we did get numbers for last month, which I think ridership was just over 51% return, and we are trying to get the numbers for the December numbers, which are really the November numbers. So we're all these months behind, but we've not gotten that from Condot yet. But I think we heard some early indications of more companies opening up in January. So I don't know what the newest strain is doing to that. I think we'll see what January brings, but it's nice to see that we are ticking up a little bit month to month.
Yep.
Staff, you said MTA. What do you mean by that?
Just the Metro North line from that comes all the way from New Haven all the way to the city. So the New York side of that, we manage those parking lots, those rail line lots.
What are those lots? Just quick, if you could tell us.
They're kind of lots like East Norwalk. Along the way, there's stops along the way, and there's similar rail line parking operations.
So it's in a dozen towns or something?
There's you know what? I forgot how many locations are. There's quite a few. I want to say there's like maybe 60 of them.
Okay. It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
I can find that out too if you want.
Is it too early to have any information about the variant and any impact on that?
The latest variant, I don't think we have any indication. I heard some reports today that while they're anticipating that's 4 times likely to be more contagious than Delta, the severity from our health department is actually reporting as less. We are seeing hospitalizations on the rise. The majority of which are unvaccinated. But I think it's a little too early to understand the full impact. I think what we're seeing right now is the hospitalizations on a rise. Delta from the New York line is the predominant variant that's coming out of that through my conversations with the health department. But this is what was, I think, to some degree, what was anticipated, right? With Thanksgiving and people getting together and
Right.
fatigue, pandemic fatigue. I think we're seeing that, but we'll see. I think it's a little too early. I think next couple of weeks will be a little bit more telling of what we can see.
Okay, thanks.
I agree, and I think we will see that if there is this negative impact on operations or demands, we'll see that probably reflected in the transient activity. I mean, right now, if you look at the graphs in the report, they're basically following seasonal trends right now. They may be down overall, but once we see that that variant is having an impact, then we'll probably see a drop like we did in the graphs when COVID first started in March of 2020.
Yeah, I think Stothy's right. Maybe next month, like right now, we're sitting here in front of the statistics and they just are continuing the trend, right? So I think next month, if we are seeing some sort of effect on it, I think it'll start to show itself probably next month in the December numbers. And then we'll just have to make sure we keep a close eye on it and monitor it from there.
Yeah.
If
And
all of
hopefully
that,
I'm sorry.
no, I was just going to say, if James, if in all of that, if there's a marker of some sort that needs to be put in our reporting, that says prior to this date, whatever the date is, it was XYZ, and after that date it's something else. But I think we would have to see a pretty substantial difference in numbers for it to.
Yep.
So like Rocky, if you go to page 3 and just put up the transient activity system wide, I mean, if we start seeing like the green line, when March came around and we see that drop go down to April and May, we'll know there's some event that happened. So if we start seeing December come down, like, excuse me, like James was just referring to, then we'll know, and we'll, be able to footnote it. Maybe we should be footnoting, this that says impact of COVID, was in those few months. So, we'll have to monitor that. So, then hopefully there's no more, variants. We're running out of Greek letters in the alphabet. Where I left off was, let's see. So on the transient side, system wide, kind of part of our conversation now is that demands have gone down, revenue has gone down. The transient activity was down almost 10%, 9.7%. Revenue had a bigger impact. And a lot of that, again, no mystery, came from the rail lines. Just on the revenue side alone, the South Norwalk Railroad Station had a drop year to date compared to pre-COVID of about $200,000. So, but overall, the non-commuter locations have been performing well. The commuter ones are still in recovery. And South Norwalk, as an example, we're at 55% of pre-COVID levels. It's on the right track. That's higher than last month, and that is correlates to the numbers that Jim referred to of 51% from Metro North. So as long as those kind of align themselves, I think that's what we can expect. On-street activity has actually been surpassed pre-COVID. So that's still good. And then we can move on. Since we did report in the past too on Judd's report, we can continue to do that until you tell us not to. So we've always kind of jumped there on the enforcement side. So the program days, if you recall, we've reduced to kind of normal levels. So over the last 2 months, it's been stable. We've dropped from 25 program days in September, and a lot of that was because you remember Washington Street and the implementation of those pay stations. So we had some more days there and tickets issued. And then in October and November, the program days dropped. But what's a little interesting, if you do a comparison of the number of courtesy tickets per program day, even though we're doing fewer program days, the number of courtesy tickets per day has shot up. So from October to November, it went from about 61 tickets per program day to almost 93. So that leads to kind of another metric we want to just tell you about, and that's the violations, after the courtesy tickets are issued. This was something that Dick always loved to look at when he was chair, but if you compare that percent of violations to the courtesy tickets that are issued, that's actually gone up. We think significantly from so 23% in September 25 in October, and then 34% in November. So to us, what it's showing is that despite the increased courtesy tickets per program days, non-compliance has really increased, which is kind of not what we would have expected. So, so over the last 3 months. So we'll see if that's just an abnormal kind of data point, and we'll follow that going forward.
Staff?
Yes.
Is that, I see the ratio of ticketing to transactions it's the highest it's ever been right now.
Right.
Right. Which
it is. So it went from, I mean, it's stabilized since last month, but it's an increase, and it's an increase of, if you look at kind of the percentages from say 2.75 to 3.5. So it comes out to 0.75 tickets for every 100 transactions, which if you look at it that way, it's not as bad as the graph might lead you to believe.
So you're saying the 3.5% works out to 1.75 tickets per 100 transactions.
Yeah, so that percent, I mean, if it's up, it goes up basically 0.75%, not even 1. So 1 ticket per 100, transactions is basically the percentage of tickets issued per system demand.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're gonna,
and that's what this is really tracking.
yeah, but I think if we're gonna look at this trend through that kind of formula, you have to go back and calculate the formula for the other ones. Because you said earlier, Stat, that I think you said earlier that on-street parking has surpassed older numbers. So that would indicate that if on-street parking is surpassing old numbers, then it would indicate to me that it makes sense that ticketing will go up as well.
Well, yes, yeah. But we're giving out more tickets per 100 than we ever have. And as staff points out, it's not a lot, but we're still giving out more tickets.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And maybe, we can put our heads together with James and Rocky and see if maybe this is or isn't the best way to really present some of this, because we don't want to give, I don't think you want the wrong impression, or the public, because this is a public document, that
Right.
makes it look so much worse than it really is, because what we just were tracking was saying that there's an increase in non-compliance too, and so that does kind of go hand in hand with this spike as well.
I think that's in every sector of society. I mean, it's not just parking. It seems to me there's a bit more crime. I'm on 95 all the time. People speeding is increased. So I don't know what it has to do with COVID, but it gets a general cultural shift. So anyway,
Yeah.
we don't need to go in. I'm okay if we move on from this. I just wanted to bring it up.
No, so I think that maybe the takeaway here is that, and we'll make a note that maybe there's a better way to get some of this data to you to see, and maybe we need to include other data too, so it's all in perspective.
Okay.
And then the last piece was our project status report. If you want to continue to hear that, Rocky can give you that update.
But we could certainly do that, Tom and Judd.
That's fine.
But to me, if they're budgeted and planned activities, unless there's an issue or some other reason to do it, I don't know that we should spend a whole lot of time on it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can just highlight some major things then, we don't have to do it today if you don't want to, but maybe.
No, go ahead, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
But just Tom and Judd, just think about it later. If it's budgeted, planned, and executed, do we really need to spend a lot of time on it?
Mm-hmm.
I think a report that says we're on schedule would be good.
Yes,
That would be enough for me.
yeah.
Okay. Rocky, we're on schedule, right?
We're on schedule.
Yeah, so let's just maybe agree that if everybody feels this way, let's just agree that we should talk about this and figure out the right and best content and presentation.
Yep, agreed.
Okay,
Okay, then that's all I have to report. Thanks.
Great job, Stacy.
Excellent,
you.
thank you. So then on the engineering and project report, item 5, I guess it would, yeah, item 5. The green infrastructure, Jim, it says Vanessa and Jim, but I don't know that Vanessa's on.
Vanessa is on.
Okay,
Vanessa, are you?
I'm here, yeah. Sorry, just got my video on. Hello, okay,
Hello.
so also, after I'm done, let me know if there is more information that you guys want to know about this. I'm happy to report on the projects the way that you guys want it, if you want to change. Also, Eric, congratulations on your nomination. So the only thing that I have to report will be related to the the South Norwalk Railroad Station. So approximately 75% of the northwest elevation has been already power washed. 50% of the southern has been power washed, and then about close to 70% we already have caulk on the northwest. That helix that has been power washed has also been caulk about halfway. Last month we had an expansion joint that had to be installed. We were waiting for it to be delivered. It got delivery and also got installed this past month. And also there was a concrete patch that we had to do that was about 6 by 12. This week we issued the change order to the contractor to replace the windows that are facing the lobby. So now we do not have yet the lead time for those windows, but it's already issued the change order. So he has orders to go ahead and order material. The contract left site on December 10th. It is their winter shutdown now that the weather starts getting colder, particularly at night. Some of this work they cannot do. First is that we have the water shut off at the building, so we cannot do any power washing. And the caulking as well as the painting, we have to get a certain temperature before we can install. So the winter shutdown usually runs between December and March 31st. Hopefully spring will be around the corner right after that, and then they can come back and resume work. So as of now, the site was clear and there is no machinery or equipment. I do believe though that we allow them to still keep, they have kind of a box where they keep some of their material in some of the spaces that were blocked, and that is still there and should remain. So this is all that I have to report in regards to the South Norwalk train station. I'm thinking that maybe I do not need to do any updates for you guys until they are back on site, but I'll leave up to you to let me know. Because that is really the only project that we've been doing this winter now.
okay.
And I think James will be able to give you some information on the Webster lot.
Yeah, so for the green infrastructure, the bioswales in the islands work began, and in that process they also got in the retention ports were on backwater. They came in, so they stopped that work on the bioswales to get we wanted the water retention ports to be installed now so that they could be in place and then attached to. So they have more than 50% of those installed. They should be finishing up relatively shortly on those. The intention is that they would, we have asphalt plants closing nearly now. They'll be able to get some from New York should they need it, but they will have the lot secured and for plowable. At this point, they'll be working on what they can for the islands. But to Vanessa's point earlier, a lot of the work is going to be weather dependent, and then they do know that they're going to shut down at some point in time and restart in the spring. They'll finish up, their intent was to have the islands and the retention ports done before they ended. I think that's still the goal. And with the intention that we would just leave the paving for a spring item, but it may be that we have to do a little bit more work on the islands. All the plantings will be put in the spring, so it's not like we're going to be completely done, but just a lot of the hardscape will be in place. But we will be wrapping up that one relatively shortly as well. So we probably would look at maybe next month as a last update on the Soto Plaza until we return in the spring. But James has been working with communicating to all the merchants, businesses that are out there. I think we're okay at this point. So we're looking. The communication has been really good.
Yeah, on to Jim's point there, and I don't know if Rocky has heard anything else to the contrary, but complaints to my desk in my office have been extremely minimal. In fact, there was only one that I received, and that was because they had to temporarily close part of the road, which was creating a bit of a bottleneck in the parking lot. But Rocky called the guy immediately. They talked about it. It was solved in about 15 minutes, and that was the only issue. And that was a week and a half ago. Everything else has been quiet and on track. So I think that's a win.
So I would have to say, Eric, I think that the success of this is largely due to the communication that Rocky and James have had with the businesses. I think when we keep people informed, we keep issues at bay, and I think that's evident here. And I think both of those guys deserve a hand for how this has been going down. Very good job.
Excellent. Thank you.
Great.
So we have under new business I guess that's a lease renewal for the fashion school.
Yep. So the lease agreement expires on I believe it's January 22nd. So I worked with the owner on drawing up what I think are very fair terms for the lease. And what I'll do is I will share my screen so you guys can see that. Is that large enough and visible for everybody?
Full screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. So we were looking at a 5-year term with a one extension for 3 years upon mutual party approval. For the square footage, I've looked at some different plans that we have of that area. They do have the square footage marked out on there, but I'd also like to go, it's been years since we reevaluated that area. So I'd like to measure the square footage of each room and each area there just to make sure it matches what's on the map and what's called out on the lease, just so everything's accurate for, for everybody involved. There is an attached a map that will come with the lease that highlights the exact areas that go with the lease for the owner. And then currently there is a parking spot called out in the lease, and I think we should still provide that one parking spot for the owner of the business. And then the rent will increase 3% year over year, starting in February with the new lease. So this is currently, this would be the start of the new contract, the first line item here for February 1st, 2022. for the first year. That will be a 3% increase on top of what she's paying now. And then it will increase 3% for the first 5 years. And that 3% will increase if we decide to execute the 1 3-year extension on the lease. So these are this is the main, nothing else really in the lease has any variables to it. It's all the insurance and normal things that we put in there to cover both parties. But these are kind of the details that I wanted to share with you guys so we could vote and move forward if we are okay with these parameters for the lease. Then I'll work with the legal department to get it drawn up, and then we will sign it between all parties.
So on the parking spot, does upper floor of the train station garage mean the very top floor?
So it provides us a little bit of leeway in there. And that is the exact verbiage that came out of the current lease that we have. So we do have the ability to change this as needed before we.
We're basically giving a parking permit. Why don't we just give her a parking permit?
Yeah, that's basically what we do, but I want to make sure it's called out in the lease exactly how many spots and where. Because I think, just it helps protect both parties down the line if there is some sort of disagreement.
Okay, so there's not a designated, so there used to be a designated spot along the fence, which is gone now that the building is built, but so this isn't a designated spot, it's just.
No, it's just saying that we will provide you with one space at our discretion where you can park.
Rocky, is that how everything goes? Like, is there just floors that you just let her to park on?
Rocky, you're on mute.
He's trying to get himself off. Oh, he's permanently silenced. What did we do to him? Oh my gosh.
Now that Eric is chairman, he's too scared to speak up, apparently. You're very intimidating, Eric.
All right, there he goes.
I'm sorry, I'm back. Your screen was covering my computer at the bottom. That's why I couldn't find the unmute button. Right now, Jim, we have her at the overflow lot at a designated space. So James and I spoke earlier, and we wanted to, remove that and keep her in the garage with just a parking pass, like Eric said.
Okay. I think that probably is better because we're going to look at some remediation in the lot soon anyway. So probably work will be done. So probably would be easier overall.
I just wouldn't relegate her to the top floor. So I mean, there will be moments in time when she's the only car up there.
Right now, yeah. All right. So we will work on, if there's not any other questions, we'll work on finalizing the lease and prepare it for your signature, Eric.
Okay.
Is this something that we need to vote on and approve?
You can vote on to adopt this into a formal agreement that will be prepared for Eric's signature. But so they can work on it. Largely, we're going to do it as the contract gets done. So you don't need to vote on it now. If you want to, you can. We'll take this. You're going to vote on it again when it's done for Eric's signature, or okay. Unless you wanted to do it now. So
if we're voting again, we'll just wait.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. So the next night. Oh, sorry. Is there more?
Nope. That's it. You're good.
Okay. So the next item is the funds that would be necessary for an audit of a financial audit of the parking authority's operation. The purpose of this, and Jim, you could chime in, but the purpose of this is to help us understand the full scope of work that's being provided currently by LAS, And so that as a parking authority, we can read through the details of how and where monies have been spent. And this will help. The primary reason that I see for this is that it will help define the scope that'll be written into the upcoming agreement renewal or agreement that we'll be putting forth for between us and the either LAS or management company. So just as the audit basically gives us the ability to use the data that's created to confirm and or modify the scope of the management agreement that we will be putting in place moving forward.
Correct. So, we have exhausted all extensions for the current management agreement. And in all honesty, we have new players here at the city and we don't have the history that we have had in the past for a thorough understanding. And as we look to create RFP, we're looking to just have a better understanding of what the process is and what should be in that RFP. We're looking at, this is, we're looking at all the other agreements. And this is just to get us caught up to speed. Writing an RFP and writing it correctly is time consuming, right? And it's harder when we don't have the full picture. So this is it's there really to help us get the full picture. What we're asking for the parking authority is to approve up to $50,000 in funds to secure for an audit. And then we will get back with you on the results and how we move forward with that. But right now we're just looking for up to $50,000 for a financial audit.
Jim, how long do you think an audit would take roughly?
So I think, Judd, it's kind of hard in this world, right? And it just like what I'm finding is every time that we give a time frame, it's always longer because everybody is overworked. We saw a massive amount of people retire, right? Less people in the field, more people doing it, and harder to get product and harder to get things. I look at this as probably like a 3 to 6 month ordeal as it looks through. But that's why we wanted to get it now so that we had if anticipation, if it does take 6 months or longer, then we actually have time to compile that data, use that data into support to write an RFP. So we're ready for I believe it's 2023 expiration of the current contract.
Okay.
So while 2023 seems like a long way away, it's not when you start to when things take like 6 months and then also in all honesty, we're kind of relatively small department. We are looking at a massive amount of funds coming through from the federal government or potential of a massive amount of funds and how we can execute those because they're going to be really on time constraints. And Garrett and I are frantically writing grants on a daily basis. So so it's just there's a lot on the plate. So this is just I think the right time.
Sure.
Okay. So Jim, there will be at somewhere near or at the end of this, we're going to be needing to allocate additional money for the actual composition of the RFP, right? Or is that going to be done?
Most definitely, yes.
So
part of that is really going to be how much could we do and what we understand and then what we're going to need to contract out with. So we'll come back to you on that part of it. That would be a different source. But yes, we will most likely be coming back at a later date for that.
Okay, all right. So if there aren't is there no further discussion, can we have a motion to approve up to $50,000 for the initiation of the financial audit?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
And then all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, then next is the bathroom lease extension for the the transit district at the Yankee Doodle Garage?
Yes, so we have a license agreement for the Norwalk Transit District to use the bathroom facilities at Yankee Doodle Garage. It is currently $400 a month. The license fee is up, and the license agreement does call out 2 one-year extensions, which will increase the amount from $400 to $410 for the first year, and to $418 for the second year per month. Pardon me. And I did speak with the Norwalk Transit, and they are perfectly happy and comfortable with agreeing on the extension if we are. So I wanted to verify if we were okay with extending that or signing that extension. I did speak with Laz, with Rocky, to see if there were any qualms about them using it, if we've had any issues. And correct me if I'm wrong, Rocky, but it seems everything's been fine. We don't see any reason why we shouldn't move forward with continuing this license agreement for the bathroom use.
What does it cost us to provide this?
Honestly, probably not much. The bathrooms are already there. So this just allows us to get a use out of them, especially right now with how low the use is in the Yankee Doodle Garage. They're probably the only people using it at this point. But I
Those
think Rocky,
bathrooms are open to the public, so to speak, or
No.
last? No, okay.
They're only available for this instance of the transit district to use, or Laz will use them, right? Your
Okay.
staff will use them as they're passing through the facility. I think at one point in time, we had an office there that would, that's been in hiatus, right, for a little while, right, Rocky? The customer service center over there. So, you know, at this point in time, it's only our staff and the transit district using the facilities. But in truthful, it's probably better that they get used at some, you know, it's better for us to have, you know, them used. The things that don't get ever used get, you know,
Fall apart or
right.
stop working.
yeah.
I have no problem with it. I'm just curious. Do we actually have an option?
Do we have an option? We could not let them use the bathroom there, but I think that it's
mean,
you know,
It's an extension. Do both parties have to agree?
yes.
Yes, it is
Okay.
written that both parties do need to agree.
Just curious, that's all.
Can I just add one thing related to the bathrooms? I know we have some issues with the bathrooms with the sewer that has been under the radar for a while. WPCA is in the process of starting a project there. And as part of the project, we're gonna fix the lateral for the garage. So I just wanted that you guys also take that in consideration, because I know in the past, and Rocky remembers that, there were issues with that sewer all the time was getting clogged and all that. We had to change from paper towels to air dryer. And now the issue is really on the sewer connection on that lateral. That will get fixed this year.
So that's for a 2022 repair, Vanessa?
Yes, it is, was already awarded to the contract. What happened, the WPCA has to do a major sewer project on that line, so I was able to ask them to also include the portion that we need to fix, that it's serving the sewer, considering that's also a city building, we could add that to the scope.
Fantastic, great.
So there will be a time when we get close to it that we would need to shut down the bathrooms for a couple of days so we can really adjust that lateral. And of course, we're gonna notify and all that in advance. But I just wanna put it there that we know that there is a problem there. The line is totally sagging a couple of times, but we have already a project awarded to get fixed.
James, we should just let the transit district know that there's gonna be clause that for repairs will have to be ceased operations for a few days.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion on it, I guess do we we vote, we don't, there's no coming back on this. We can just vote and it's done, right?
Yes.
It does call out that you need the extension needs to be signed by all parties. So I think it'll kind of be like the same thing.
All right.
We'll
well,
have to
then
have the extension signed. So we
Okay,
can
so
vote
let's
on
deal
at
with
that
it.
point.
Let's just deal with it then. Okay, so then under the old business, I think we've touched on this a little bit, the outreach, permit outreach.
Yes. So I know, Rocky spoke on this a little bit earlier. We have also, Jim and I did an interview for the hour. So there is on November 20th, an article was posted regarding the availability of permits in the South Norwalk Railroad Station. So that's up on their website. You guys can feel free to check that out if you'd like. We are also updating the website with our new branding, and also the front page is going to have a large link right in the front. We have seen some the preliminary design of how the website looks. It looks great. We've given the approval, and that should be up and running and in the next day or two. So the first thing you see when you come to the website, it'll have a nice new branding, a little bit of a different color scheme, and it will have the big link that permits are available. Click here for your, railroad permit thing, whatever it says at that point. And then it takes you right to the permit purchasing page.
Okay. That sounds like it makes the case to get rid of the list we have, but that's a different story.
Yeah.
So then that's the end of the agenda. Just if you could get the new branding over for Laz so they can update these reports with all the new branding.
I think I saw it on the report, right, guys? Stuff?
Yes, you did.
Yes,
Soon
I
as,
did.
as
It
soon as
is- it
Mr.
is-
Travers got the
Oh.
new logo, we put it on.
All right, so
good.
the only thing
No,
we
you
have
probably
to
didn't see it, Eric.
The only,
What-
the only
what we
thing
have to
missed
do is
was-
we have to get it to Maritza. She has to put it on the agenda. So
Maybe
Eric,
that's-
it's not Laz. Laz beat us to it.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Stoppy. But we,
Good.
if you could get it, Eric James, if you can get it to Maritza so she can put it onto the letterhead.
Absolutely. I'll send that over to her tomorrow.
And then, so just on that, when does all of the new branding translate to the vehicles?
We're working a little bit through Snyder on some of the fine tuning of that. And so Snyder is the group that put it together,
So we'll see that.
and we'll start to see those things. Yes.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right, sorry. Don't mean to introduce things. Okay, so if there's nothing further, then we'll take a motion to adjourn.
What I formalize while we're in there, and on behalf of the city, I too would also like to recognize that that Mike did submit his resignation to the mayor to so that he could spend more time with his business, but he had been with the parking authority for many years. So a formal thank you on behalf of the city for his years of dedication and service. And thank you for the opportunity to put that.
Yeah, I think
put that
it
into
was
record.
12 years in total.
Yeah.
Long time.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you,
So
Mike.
we wish him well.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so then a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
All in
Okay,
favor?
Tom.
All right,
Denied.
Happy
everyone.
holidays, everyone.
It's
Happy
thank you.
holidays.
Joe's not
Christmas,
allowed to go
everybody.
out.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye.
And a happy new year.